Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a document that really shapes the financial lives of the Galveston firefighters. We're looking at the restated Galveston Firefighters Pension Fund Plan document. It's effective June 1st, 2025, and it's all set up under the Texas Local Firefighters Retirement Act.
Yeah, and our goal here, pretty straightforward. We want to break down this, well, frankly, dense document for you. We'll hit the key definitions, who's eligible, how the money works, contributions, retirement math, survivor benefits, all the critical stuff for active and future firefighters.
Exactly. If you need a clear picture of what this plan actually says, this is for you. Let's dive right in, starting with who gets into the plan.
Okay, so first off, a firefighter is basically someone actively employed by the Galveston Fire Department. Pretty simple there. But, and this is important, there's a catch for new applicants. They absolutely have to pass a specific medical evaluation before they can even participate in the pension fund.
Ah, okay. So that's not just about getting hired. It's a specific hurdle for the pension itself. Sounds like a way to protect the fund, right? Given the job risks.
Precisely. Protects the fund's integrity. Once they're in, their service is just their continuous employment while they're paying into the fund. But the really big piece for calculating retirement, that's the highest 60-month average salary.
Okay, yeah. Let's unpack that one because it sounds crucial and maybe a bit complicated.
It is. It's not just your average pay over the best 5 years.
Right. The document says it's the average total pay over the 130 consecutive pay periods. So roughly 60 months where pay was highest.
And here's the kicker.
Then they multiply that average by a factor of 2.167.
Exactly. That multiplier, 2.167, it dramatically inflates the base salary used for the pension calculation.
Wow. So the pension isn't based on your actual highest average salary. It's based on more than double that.
That's right. It represents a very significant commitment from the city to fund a generous benefit. It's baked right into the core formula.
Okay, so if that base number is so inflated, we need to know what counts as total pay. What goes into that average before the multiplication?
Good question. Total pay is most of your regular salary stuff. But the plan is very clear on what's out. Specifically, no clothing allowance and no lump sum payouts for unused vacation or sick time. Those don't get counted towards that heavily boosted average.
Got it. Exclusions are key. So we have this really generous calculation structure. How on earth do they fund it? Because the numbers must be big.
They are. Effective September 1st, 2024, the firefighter contribution is 19.5% of their total pay.
19.5%. That's huge already.
It is. And what's more, the city picks up this contribution. That means it's basically pre-tax for the firefighter, which is a nice tax benefit.
Okay, and the city's side.
Even higher.
Yeah.
The city puts in 21.7% of the payroll for firefighters covered by the plan.
Wait, so add those up. 19.5% plus 21.7%? That's over 41% of payroll going into this fund, every pay period.
Yep, over 41% combined. It's a massive funding level. It signals either a very aggressive strategy to keep the fund healthy, or maybe they're catching up on past obligations. Either way, it shows a deep financial stake from both sides.
Okay, while we're on the finances, we absolutely have to touch on something that seems, well, potentially divisive. The cost of living adjustment, the KOLA.
Ah, yes. This creates a clear split in the plan. There's an automatic KOI. It's 0.6% each year, effective January 1st. It can't go higher than the CTIU increase for that year, measured November to November.
Okay, 0.6% automatic. Sounds standard, but,
and this is the crucial part, this automatic COA is explicitly denied to any firefighter whose service started after December 31st, 2012.
Wow. So if you were hired in 2013 or later, you just don't get that automatic inflation protection.
Correct. It's a fundamental two-tiered system built right into the plan, based purely on your start date.
That seems like it could cause some issues down the line. We should definitely circle back to that. But first, let's look at the payoff, the retirement benefits themselves. How do you qualify for normal retirement?
Normal service retirement is pretty clear-cut. You need two things: reach age 50 and complete 20 years of service.
Age 50 and 20 years. Okay. And if you hit those marks, what's the formula?
The normal service retirement benefit is a monthly payment. It's calculated as 3.00% of that highest 60-month average salary.
Yeah.
Remember, the one with the big multiplier times your years of service.
So 3% times that inflated salary base times years served. Given that multiplier, that sounds like a very strong replacement income.
It is designed to be, yes. And the standard way it's paid out, the normal form, considers the family. It's paid for the firefighter's lifetime. And if the firefighter passes away before their spouse, the surviving spouse continues to receive 2/3, so 23, of that benefit for the rest of their life.
Okay, provide some security there. But what if someone has the 20 years but isn't 50 yet? Can they retire early?
Yes, that's early service retirement if you leave with 20 or more years of service before hitting age 50. But there's a cost. The benefit is reduced, and it's reduced based on how far away from age 50 you are.
How steep is the reduction?
It's pretty significant if you retire, say, in your late 30s. The plan actually has a table showing the percentage you get. For example, at age 38, it might be only around 36–37% of the full benefit, but that percentage climbs fast as you get closer to 50. By age 49, you're looking at maybe 91–92%.
So the message is pretty clear. Hitting 20 years is one thing, but waiting closer to 50 makes a huge difference to your starting pension. A strong incentive to stay longer.
Definitely. Now, besides that default 23 survivor benefit, there are options. You can choose, for instance, a joint and 100% survivor option.
Meaning the full benefit continues to the spouse.
Exactly. But it requires the spouse's consent to elect it. And there's a small actuarial adjustment. The monthly benefit is reduced slightly, calculated using a 97% factor to account for that larger potential payout lifetime.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's shift to something called the DUROP, the Deferred Retirement Option Plan. What exactly is that? Sounds like a savings plan within the pension.
Sort of. It's a mechanism primarily for experienced firefighters. It lets them effectively retire on paper and start accruing benefits, but they keep working and drawing their salary for a set period. Getting into the dewdrop has specific timing rules. You have to figure out your dewdrop benefit calculation date. This date is the later of two things. Either it's 36 months before you actually plan to stop working, or it's the date you hit age 51.5 and have 21.5 years of service.
Okay. So if normal retirement is 50 and 20, the drop encourages sticking around for at least another year and a half beyond that minimum.
That seems to be the incentive structure, yes. It pushes that service commitment a bit further for those who opt in.
So what's the payout when they do finally leave, after being in the dewdrop?
It comes in two parts. First, they start receiving their actual monthly pension, which was calculated based on their service and salary back on that dewdrop calculation date. It was deferred while they were in the dewdrop.
Okay, the regular pension starts. And the second part?
The second part is a lump sum payment. This lump sum is made up of two things. One, all the employee contributions they made while in the dewdrop period, and crucially, those contributions earn no interest in the dewdrop account. Plus two, the big part, the total amount of all those monthly pension payments that were deferred while they were in the dewdrop period.
So they get their own contributions back, no interest, but they also get the stack of pension payments they would have received if they'd fully retired earlier. That could be a substantial amount.
It can be, yes.
Yeah.
And they have some flexibility in how they take that lump sum. It can be a single payment, or they can spread it out into a maximum of 5 payments over 3 years, 36 months.
And once you actually stop working, that duty drop election is locked in.
Absolutely. Once termination occurs, the decision to have participated in dewdrop is irrevocable. Can't change your mind then. Though there's a specific note allowing folks employed back on Jan 1st, 1997, under an older plan version, to revoke a prior election and join this new dewdrop, which is interesting.
Right. A nod to prior plan participants. Okay, let's switch over to financial protections for firefighters who can no longer work. Disability retirement. You mentioned something interesting about the structure here.
Yes, it's quite fascinating, actually. It works on a distinct two-tiered timeline for eligibility. For the first 2.5 years, the definition is pretty protective of the firefighter. They qualified if they're unable to perform the duties of their own specific job as a firefighter.
Okay, own occupation. That makes sense initially. What happens after 2.5 years?
The standard changes significantly. After that point, to continue receiving disability, they must be unable to perform the duties of any occupation for which they're reasonably suited. Consider their education, training, or experience.
Wow, that's a much tougher standard. From can't do your firefighter job to can't reasonably do any job.
Exactly. It shifts the focus from job-specific inability to a broader assessment of earning capacity in the long run. It's a way the plan manages long-term liability.
So what's the actual benefit amount if someone qualifies for disability?
The amount paid is the highest of 3 possible calculations. It's the greatest of A, the normal retirement formula, so 3% times highest 60-month salary times service, or B, 50% of their highest 60-month average salary, or C, a floor amount of $400 per month.
That 60% of salary floor seems like a key safety net, especially for someone disabled earlier in their career before building up a lot of service time.
It definitely is. Now, if after that 2.5-year mark, The board determines the person does have some earning capacity under that tougher any occupation standard. The benefit can actually be reduced or even terminated.
How do they figure that out? It sounds complicated.
It involves a pretty detailed assessment. The board looks at the firefighter's estimated annual residual earning capacity, basically, what they could reasonably earn somewhere else, looking within a 60-mile radius of Galveston. They also consider the objective percentage of disability, often using standard medical guidelines like the AMA Guides to Permanent Impairment. It's a mechanism to ensure the fund isn't paying full disability if the person can work in some capacity.
It's definitely a structured process. Are there situations where disability is just outright denied? Exclusions?
Yes, there are specific exclusions listed.
Yeah.
Disability benefits are not granted if the disability comes from things like excessive use of illegal drugs or alcohol, willingly participating in a felony or riot, active military service, an act of war, or, importantly, intentionally self-inflicted injuries or suicide attempts.
Okay. Those are important boundaries for the plan's coverage.
Yeah, let's think about what happens in the worst case.
Yeah.
If a firefighter dies while still employed, what are the death benefits?
For a surviving spouse, the benefit is, again, the highest of three options. A, it's 2/3 of the retirement benefit the firefighter had already accrued. Or B, it's 40% of their highest 60-month average salary. Or C, that same floor of $400 a month.
And the plan also provides for surviving eligible children. They generally receive benefits until they turn 18.
Or older, right, if they're students.
Yes, up to age 25 if they're a full-time student, or potentially indefinitely if they became totally and permanently disabled after age 17. The actual amount they get depends slightly on whether there's also a surviving spouse receiving benefits. If there isn't, the child's benefit percentage, based on the average salary, and the minimum dollar amount are slightly higher, like a $20 per month minimum versus $40 minimum, roughly.
Got it. Now, pension plans always have layers of legal compliance. Anything stand out here?
Well, there's the standard but complex stuff about IRS rules. Section 10, the maximum benefits section, talks about Code Section 415 limitations. Basically, it ensures the plan follows federal tax law, particularly capping benefits for highly compensated individuals to keep its tax-qualified status. It's technical but essential for the plan's legality.
And what about mistakes? If the plan accidentally overpays someone, how is that handled?
There are rules for administrative integrity. If the board finds an overpayment, they have to notify the person in writing, certified mail usually. And they must start trying to recover it or adjust future payments within 90 days of that notice being delivered or the second mailing attempt.
Is there a limit on how far back they can go to claw back money?
Yes, and this is a key protection for the members. Any overpayments that happen more than 3 years before the date the board discovered the error cannot be corrected or recovered.
Ah, so there's a statute of limitations. That provides some peace of mind against ancient errors popping up.
Exactly. It gives finality. And one last protection worth noting is the alienation and assignment clause.
What does that do?
It basically shields the pension benefits. It says they're exempt from things like garnishment, attachment, or seizure by creditors. They're also exempt from state and local taxes. It's designed to follow Texas property code, ensuring the retirement income stream is protected for the retiree or beneficiary.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, what we're seeing is a plan defined by really huge financial inputs. That 41% plus combined contribution rate is massive.
It really is. And it fuels a potentially very generous payout system, largely thanks to that unique 2.167 salary multiplier in the highest 60-month average salary calculation. It's all very structured, very defined, aiming for predictability.
Predictability built on clear rules for who gets in, including that initial medical screening and binding formulas for calculating benefits years, even decades down the road.
Right. The document, while dense, lays out a very specific path and financial outcome structure.
But it's not entirely uniform, as we discussed. Let's end with that COA rule again. Remember, the automatic 0.6% annual increase is denied to anyone whose service started after December 31st, 2012. So think about the impact of that. How might that two-tiered system affect the long-term career plans, the morale, the retention of this whole generation of firefighters hired since 2013? They're building a career knowing their retirement dollars won't keep pace with inflation the same way their older colleagues' benefits will. That's a structural tension worth considering.